Right. Welcome to Jazz Voices Live, where we're shining the light on great jazz vocalists from everywhere. And today we are chatting with Ms. Kathy Wade, Cincinnati's own Kathy Wade.
Hello.
Hi, thank you
How
so
are
much
you?
for
Sorry.
good. Great.
Grabbing things, as they say, with that you
Eh,
probably not be doing.
Oh
How
no.
are you?
We're at home. We're at home now, okay?
Okay,
Relax.
good, because I'm going to fan myself.
Relax.
Woo!
Well, this is
Welcome to
our
my summer.
first this is our first live for Jazz Voices, and I wanted to talk to
Oh,
someone
good.
who was local and who was making an impact on their community, and that is definitely you.
Thank you.
Definitely you. For those of you who don't know Kathy, she's been performing for over 40 years, touring is that right? Did I get that right? Touring the United States and abroad. She's a recording artist and she has an upcoming release entitled Kathy Wade. Her single, Someone's in Love, has a video that won an Emmy. Am I right in this? Am I saying it right? It
Mhm.
won an Emmy, a Telly, three international film and television awards,
Mhm.
and was featured in Cincinnati, the movie. Am I right?
Actually, there
Okay.
is a another song that was featured in Cincinnati, the movie.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay. So,
yeah,
well, it won all that other stuff. So it's
yeah.
all right. And she has opened for Shirley Horn, Diane Scher, uh,
Mhm.
am I, oh, yes. And who
Great Percy
else?
did.
Anita Baker,
Yeah,
just Nancy Wilson,
yeah,
just
yeah,
to name a few.
yes,
That's
absolutely,
amazing. And
absolutely.
you debuted with the Cincinnati Pops Orchestra in July of this year.
I did.
That must have been amazing.
It was. They came out for our Crown Jewels of Jazz series, which I've been
Oh,
playing for quite some time, and it's been in various different variations. Initially it was our being Learning Through Art Incorporated, the nonprofit that I co-founded with my late husband,
mm-hmm.
where we
Okay.
build community through art. Our signature fundraiser was Crown Jewels of Jazz, where we celebrated women in jazz because, for a
Oh,
very selfish
right.
reason, I was a
Mm.
jazz singer and I wanted to meet all of the jazz female legends. So
Isn't that way? It worked, huh?
we
I was just
we
getting ready to say
started.
that you're the CEO and co-founder of Learning Through Art
Mhm,
Incorporated, and it's
mhm,
a performing arts educational organization. The recipient of numerous awards, and I wish I could say them all, but a few of them would be the prestigious Scripps Corbett Award, the
mhm,
2020 Urban League of Greater Southwest Ohio Lion 4C Champion for Children,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
And many more, many more. She was also voted the sixth most influential person in the arts by City Beat.
mhm.
Yes, look. Where do you find the time, first of all? You are a true Cincinnatian because, let's see, you graduated from Withrow and
Mhm,
then went to Xavier and then got your master's at UC. So
mhm.
you are a part of the community, definitely a part of the community. Now, I see how your formal education prepared you to, launch a nonprofit and all of that. But what about becoming a professional jazz vocalist? How did that come about?
The truth of the matter is, I went into the arts administration program to be a better artist and
Okay.
understand the business side. I was not to even, I had no idea of starting a nonprofit. I wasn't going to work for a nonprofit. It was for, it was for me, it was to make sure that I understood the business end of the entertainment business so that I
Okay.
would not wake up at a retirement age and have no money, no investments. I mean, just understanding why is it important to get pennies on a dollar or pennies on a recording or nickels or quarters. I mean, those things add up, and but you need to understand the business piece and the business piece for the entertainment business right now, in particular performing arts, performing artist, is so what's the word I'm looking for? It's so global that you can do it from your bedroom. You can become a star
Yes.
in your bedroom now. When I
Yes.
started, it was all pencil, paper, pennies, right?
Right,
Now
right.
it can go from nobody knows you today and then the world knows you tomorrow. It's just
Exactly.
that simple. The question is, how do you sustain that? How do you
Right.
keep the longevity there? There
Mhm.
are many artists that we've all supported that don't have a dime, a nickel, and we don't know their names. There are many artists that we supported that we may not see them, but they are well vested and are living quite well and not having the need to go out and perform. Because in this business, I do a workshop called The Art of the Sale. I haven't done one in a while, but it's about the artist being their first everything. You are your first agent, you are your first attorney, you are your first makeup artist, you're your first
Marketing,
stylist,
everything.
you're
Yes.
all of that.
Yeah.
For me, it's important that artists understand that and have skill set to know how to do it in this world today, because everything is right at your fingertips on an app, or you can Google it to find out,
Right.
how do I build this, how do I make my career. There's CD Baby. I've been on CD Baby since it started, right?
Mhm.
um, they have come, just looking at how their platform has become so expansive, and how you can just, with the push of a button, be on Spotify, right? So I've been able to see those changes, and yet and hopefully incorporate all of it into what I'm doing. Someone said to me the other day, "You really use social media well." That's only because my very first media person that I hired to work for the nonprofit, um, Facebook was just starting. Instagram wasn't even in existence at that point. Neither was LinkedIn, but we were on it. And you have to understand how to take the tools and make them work for you.
Right.
Like I
Right.
said, you can do all of this from your bedroom if you so choose. It's
Yes.
just that, make sure that presentation of the package, and that's what's missing. The presentation of the package is missing
Mm.
so
Mhm.
much for me today. Um, it is not okay to show up at a show for me in some torn jeans. I'm sorry, I don't care what the fad is. It's just
Uh,
not, that's not what you do. You have to really
yeah.
appreciate your audience, because they can take their time, talent, and treasure and go support somebody else. So you need to treat them like they're gold. And
I
I always
appreciate that. Yeah. I
yeah, no,
agree with you completely.
you need to always show up for the job that you want, not the one that you have. So that doesn't mean
Mhm.
showing up in torn jeans. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. But
That's your vibe, right? But
right,
yeah.
at
Yeah,
the
I
end of the
agree.
day, why should I want to give you my most precious commodity, my time, if I'm
Right.
not feeling that I'm not being entertained? I was just very fortunate enough to be able to see Earth, Wind, and Fire front row seats at the Hard Rock
Oh,
Cafe here in Cincinnati a couple of weeks ago. I sang
wow.
the dedication of the new casino, and ended up at, if you don't ask, you don't get, right. Closed
Mhm.
mouths don't get fed, as my child always says. So I asked the president, "Oh gosh, we would love to see Earth, Wind, and Fire, if that's possible, for the opening concert tonight." And we got front row seats. And even with that show, I mean, for me, when I'm at concerts, I always look at production value and the staging of it all.
Mhm.
'Cause that's the experience you're paying for, and they have, even to this day. I mean,
Oh,
I've
wow.
been around long enough to have seen Earth, Wind, and Fire when Maurice was there, and they started the
Mhm.
pyrotechnics early on in the game and changed their wardrobing, and
Right.
it just is still a very cool show. So
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
that packaging. It's one thing to know how to keep yourself out there, but it's another thing to understand how to wrap it and make it sell.
Right.
That
Now,
bread.
have you found that your nonprofit organization takes up away from your ability to be able to get out there and perform? Because I'm sure it takes a lot of time and effort and
I think
resources.
I have always built into what we do the singing piece. Yes, I'm sure I could take more time to. If I spent as much time or equal amount of time performing, I would be out there, probably not necessarily further, but just doing it more often. And it's
Right.
not. I think because of where we've ended up, um, it all has balanced out. I've been able to tie in the singing One of the
Mm.
things that I find that I am doing now, though, is really um, I mentioned that my passing of my late husband, when he passed, we were actually going to, we were on our vacation and we used to go away every summer after our Crown Jewels of Jazz, after our Hood is Bigger Than You Think series was over. And that particular summer, we were going to discuss, let's put the Kathy Wade product out there now because we've got all this additional bandwidth and recognition and branding.
Mhm.
So let's just put all of this concentrated effort behind that. And he passed away and things kind of shifted. But
Mm.
you can't be taken off your path that you're supposed to be on and that you're going because you can't fight it. So
Right.
things keep coming my way. And now I'm at a point where I understand the business and the tools that are available to expand your brand.
Right.
And I'm not afraid to use them. I think more so than anything is just the fear of success, and I don't have that.
All right.
So,
All right. So let's talk about the new record. You got to,
so
it's
this is something that's
in the
just been in the
process of
works
it.
for a while.
Mhm.
6, 7 years ago, I worked with Bill Cunliffe, who is a Grammy award-winning arranger. Used to teach at Central State and was here
Mhm.
in Cincinnati for a good chunk of time. And he's been on the West Coast now for the last 30 years, which I can't even believe because he was here recently. And he said that in his induction speech for the Jazz Hall of Fame here in Cincinnati. And I looked at him after the show and said, "You can't. You haven't been in LA for 30 years." But when he first went out, he produced my first CD, which is still selling, which is
Mhm.
amazing.
Hey, it's
Um,
evergreen.
yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
he did a wonderful job on it, and there's some great tunes. So it's still got life.
Mhm.
And he said he'd been there 30 years, and I just keep thinking, oh wow. So probably 7, 8 maybe years ago, I found myself back in LA doing half of a CD, and I still have that half of that CD. Interestingly enough, there's a project that Bootsy's folks are doing to help raise awareness and dollars around revitalizing King Records here in Cincinnati
Okay.
and its legacy. And or keeping the legacy alive. I shouldn't say reviving it. The legacy's definitely there. Just finding the dollars to do the building, and I think there's a museum and recording studio, and
Mm. Mhm.
At any rate, they're putting together for several CDs of people who have donated music, and I
Okay.
decided to donate um, a song that's on my initial, my first and only CD. It's called "Spice of Life." It's a blues tune by myself, Bill Cunliffe, and Ted McConnell, who wrote lyrics and music. And great jazz tune. Anyway, when I went back out to LA to do the first half of this next CD, we did a reversion. Bill wrote a new arrangement, and it is killer. So I ended up, somebody told me about this project that they were doing and that they really wanted to feature some music from me. And I actually submitted that and it made it to the compilation CD to
All
two,
right.
two really major artists, right? And the guy,
Great.
producer, is saying to me, the song is so slamming. And I said, so you just never know. So I'm releasing it. And
Mhm.
interestingly enough, it has not been released yet.
Mhm.
This is before the CD comes out, so that's coming out soon.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you know, um, I keep saying to myself, I'm going to finish this CD off and get it out because once again, I now have those additional tools to be able to
Right.
sell
Right.
that
Well,
product.
people are releasing 2 songs at a time now,
Exactly.
like
Well,
2 and 3 and not,
so and
so
to your point, I just read on CD Baby in a newsletter that the
mhm.
thing to do now is to release singles. So
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm going to now go ahead and release that as a single, um, because why not? It's being featured on a compilation, and this is the right time to do just that. And it's a great blues.
Right.
Um, it talks about the analogy of food and the blues.
Oh, all right.
I should say
Okay. I can see that. I can relate.
food, blues, and breaking up. There you go.
Okay, I can see how all that is tied in, all of it. Now, I know you work with a lot of musicians in the city. I thought that you were married to Mike Wade.
Oh yeah,
This is
you're
the
not the first
funniest thing.
person.
You get that all the time, right?
Well, people will. I think they make the assumption. Folks who've known me a long time would
They
know.
know. Yeah,
Uh,
right,
I think that, and I hear it. And we travel. When I travel on the road, I have taken Mike as my music director, and even for big
right.
projects in Cincinnati, because he's really very talented. But no,
Yeah, yeah.
just musical friends. I always tell him he's my brother with the freckles from his other side.
Uh,
But
from the
no,
oh.
not at
Now, do
all.
you have a band that you work with locally,
I
like
work.
the
I
same
rotate
musicians?
musicians. I have
Okay.
people that I tend to call regularly.
Mm-hmm.
I had the
Yeah.
pleasure of doing a night, one Friday a month, at the Greenwich, the old Greenwich Tavern. It was Just Friends Fridays with Kathy Wade and Friends.
Mm-hmm.
And what that allowed me to do was to invite everybody that I ever wanted to work with to come in and work with me.
That's a great idea.
It was a fabulous idea because
Yeah.
I could do themes, I could do music types. I mean, it was fabulous. So fast forward to my singing at the casino, and I hope I'm not saying this too soon.
Uh-oh.
Um, Someone sat down next to me at the reception after the dedication and said, "Wouldn't it be fabulous if we had a Kathy Wade jazz brunch here once a month?" And I said, "I think that'd be absolutely fabulous."
Yeah.
The next thing I know, the food people are over talking to me, and they walk up and say, "Hey, we like the idea. Let's do it." So that's the next version of Kathy Wade and Friends, a
All
brunch
right.
at the casino.
Awesome. Awesome.
Early
I have
next is what we're
to look
looking
out
at.
for that
Yeah, yeah.
because I'd love to come. Um, I cannot go without talking about this pandemic and
Oh yeah.
what is it, how it has affected musicians. And so, what did you do during the lockdown to keep you
I
inspired
worked.
and you worked
I worked
just
on
keep you
getting that little
creative?
Emmy right there.
Ah, let's see the
um,
Emmy. That's awesome.
even to my surprise, this was not the goal when we
Mm-hmm.
started out.
Look
We
at that.
have learning through. Isn't that beautiful?
It is.
She's
Yes.
gorgeous. She really is. I call
Yes.
her Emmy. But anyway,
You call her Emmy.
I do. We have a program called Books Alive for Kids where we make books come alive through sight, sound, and touch. You read the book, you make a craft, and then there's a performance. Of course, schools shut down uh,
Mm-hmm.
with the pandemic, and we couldn't take in live performance. We could take anything in, right?
Right.
So it moved us to, it forced us, not forced, it allowed us to pivot
Mm-hmm.
to creating an online platform with Books Alive for Kids. We had so much content with all these books we've done over the last 23 years. It's 63 plus books. So it gave us an opportunity to um, put all the material on an online platform for parents, teachers, caregivers, child care providers, and kids to go on and work with the material. All right.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first thing we did. Then we had to figure out what to do about the live performances, because the thing that makes this particular performing arts literacy program so interesting is that you read the book, you make a craft, and then there's this show. We needed that show component, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole idea is to find different modalities to engage kids and families to read. I don't
Right.
understand why you wouldn't want to read. Of course I wouldn't, because I've always read, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
for that kid that's struggling for whatever reason, that kid, that adult that's just not picking up a book and appreciating what that book can do, how you can travel anywhere on this planet and beyond if you can read. You can do anything
Yeah.
if you can read.
Yeah.
So my quest in creating this program was really all around how do we get them to read?
Mm-hmm.
And if reading a book by itself doesn't get it for you, then let's take that same book and find a craft you can make related to the story and the theme. Oh, that didn't get your attention. Well, now let's bring a live show in about this book. And by that time, we usually have your interest.
Yes.
Hopefully, we've got you reading.
Right. Right.
So, with that being said, we had to figure out the performance part. I had started out working with DeAndre Means from the Children's Theater, trying to put programming together, and we both realized that we needed something a bit more sophisticated in the development and the design and the production value. We had already been nominated for 4 different Emmys for 2 books 10 years ago that we did special TV shows for on the live performances. One was the Sound Heaven's All Star Jazz Band was the first one, and the second one was The Little Creek. Our actress in The Little Creek at the time was only 5 years old, and she's now a Disney actress.
Oh, okay.
And at that time, she couldn't even read. But pivoting, making sure that we had that very integral part of the performance was very important. So, that being said, I went back to our original director, Zoe Weston, who is a 28-time Emmy winner, and said to him, "So, this is where we are in the middle of the pandemic, and we need to create these shows, and I need to know if you're interested. We can put a very small crew together, given that we are in a pandemic and that we have to follow all protocols with a very tight production staff and masking and all that. This is even before the vaccine."
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Oh, and by the way, I don't have a big budget." And he said, "Not to worry, we're going to do this." And so we did. And we've done, in addition to our original 2 productions, we have added another 4. We're shooting for 13 episodes, as we call them.
And where can people see
You have to
these?
subscribe to our platform. So if you go to
Okay.
booksaliveforkids.com, you can sign
Mm-hmm.
up. And once you sign up, you get access. You get a book pack every month. And with that book pack, you open up the world to our streaming of all of our episodes.
Okay. Now, all of this came about through
Because of a
your
pandemic.
through your because of a pandemic. But let's
Mhm.
go a little further back. When you started the nonprofit 20
Oh,
some odd
so
years ago, like how did that even come about?
30 years ago, my late husband said to me, I was doing programs, schools and programs, long before I met him. Because in my mind, while I was waiting for my star to ascend, wouldn't it be cool if I got asked to come back to my school to do a performance? Because isn't that a sign of
You are just
making it? That's how I thought about it.
right, right, right.
So, so I think,
Strategic.
if the school asks you to come back, that means you're doing something well. At any rate,
Right,
so
right.
I ultimately, um, he said that to me, and I said, "Oh, that is." He said, "So I think what we need to do is to start a nonprofit." Now, my master's is in arts administration from the College
Hmm.
Conservatory of Music. One of the things that you had to do while in the program was to do a 501c3 application, and I surely was not interested in doing another one. So I said,
Right.
"Well, I tell you what, if you get us, incorporated as a 501c3, I'll run it." Well, in tandem, time wise to that, I was also producing the first CD.
Oh.
Finished, we started getting distribution in Europe and around the country and airplay and blah, blah. And this is just the 2 of us running this thing, right? And he started the application process. 6 months later, we were incorporated as a nonprofit. And
Wow.
I let it sit for a year because I was in my head determined not to have somebody take me off this path, right?
Exactly. Exactly. I can see
Of
that.
performing, never fully grasping at that point that it is possible to have all platforms and make
Mm-hmm.
them all work in tandem, right?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
How we came up with
Yeah.
Crown Jewels of Jazz. But
Right.
um, so I said, okay, about a year later, rap music was coming out, and I was doing programs in schools. We do a whole, we call it Mosaic Edutainment, where I do lecture performances. And there's a show which is actually our next episode is based on a book called The Sound That Jazz Makes, and we do a show called Black Anthology of Music. It's about the
That's what I
history
was
of
gonna.
jazz and learning the importance of finishing what you start. And we've expanded that now for this next episode to also include the resilience of jazz, because I just finished a huge project called Story Quilt, all based around the truth and reconciliation um, projects that the George Washington University Center for Community Resilience is doing. And I was made an Arts Wave
Mm-hmm.
master artist to do something around the topic of truth and reconciliation around um, systemic racism, and social injustice, right?
It's a beautiful project. Saw it on your website,
Thank
and
you.
I wanted to talk to you about it. So I'm
Oh,
glad you're getting into it.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 So, um, one of the things that we were going to do in that whole story quote series is the exhibition that we brought into town, the story quote community conversations, and a live performance of Black Anthology of Music, our oldest lecture performance program.
Hmm.
Because of COVID and the variant, we decided to postpone it and make it a television show. But that was the show that I was doing, and in that show, we traced the history of jazz from
Hmm.
Africa all the way through, and how it has influenced all the music that you hear that's in this
Yeah.
country, right?
Oh, I would love to see that. Yeah.
Jazz is America's classical music because it is the
Yeah.
music that has been developed here and it's indigenous to this country, right?
Right. Right.
So I was doing my program back then, and somebody thought that the sounds that you hear on rap music were an instrument, and the scratch noise, and I was
Hmm.
livid, and I went home. I mean, I didn't let them know I was livid, but I went home fussing to
Hmm.
my late husband, and he said very quietly, because he was always very quiet. And, sometimes with somebody like me, you get it done faster when you just quietly say. And he just quietly said, you know, we have a 501c3. We are a 501c3. What you could do is get a grant. And then you can go expand your program so that you're teaching more kids that noise is not an instrument, that it is percussive and how it is made, and that it is da da. And I said, oh, light bulb.
Right.
So I called a friend of mine who was in the junior league with me at the time, and she was a great grants writer. She still is. And I said, I'm going to go for this first grant. And it was for the Jurgens Foundation. I think I asked for
Hmm.
8,000. I got five, and we are now 30 years old next year.
Wow. And they say it is very difficult to get grants for nonprofits.
Well, they say
That's what
that.
I've heard. I've heard that you can't really depend, because I'm thinking about starting a nonprofit myself. And I've heard that they say you can't depend on grants. You need to make sure you get private donors, and
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know.
Fundraising is
But
fun. It just depends. Fundraising. I mean, you need to have stream. You have to diversify your streams of income. I would agree
certainly.
with that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Definitely agree with that.
Okay. All
So
right.
we've been very fortunate enough to not only identify our first grant, but just being able to keep partners that have been with us all 30 years or very close.
Right. Well,
Multiple.
that's a tremendous blessing. You've raised over $6 million. Am I right in that? I think I saw that on your website.
Yeah, it's probably more than that, but
More
we'll go
than
with 6.
6 million.
It is
That's
good.
wonderful. You are truly making an impact in your community, and I can't wait to hear the CD or
Thanks.
the single when you release it. I
Now,
want you
now
to
that we've had this discussion about the single, I'm really thinking, oh, let's just go ahead and release the single and get it out
see
there.
that works. That's
Keep
great,
that
and we'll
all
talk
from
again.
a conversation.
See,
Yeah,
we'll talk again when you release it. So we'll make
absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely.
Um, Now I want you to tell everybody how to get in contact with you, how to follow you, and all that good stuff.
Well, there is a website out there. There are two things. I'm on Facebook, Kathy Wade, which is always probably the easiest because that's the fastest way for me to update people on where I'm singing and what I'm doing.
Hmm.
And then there's kathywade.com, our website, which is being finally. My operations manager came in about a month ago and said, Miss Wade, this is not going to work. Okay. So they
Okay.
have taken on the task of rebuilding my website.
Okay.
So
Okay.
kathywade.com is me all day long.
All right. You performing anywhere
I'm
soon?
actually, I've got a couple of gigs coming up, and it's interesting. I'm singing the Saturday after Thanksgiving,
Oh,
the
okay.
27th of November.
Hmm.
I will be I'll be over in Clifton. They're kicking off their holiday season, shining light on all the vendors up and down Ludlow Avenue in the Clifton community here in Cincinnati. So I'm doing a 6 to 9 performance, 6 to 7, and then 8 to 9 with Phil DeGreg
Okay.
and Justin Dawson will be on bass. So we're going to do lots
Hmm.
of holiday tunes. So two different sets, and we're looking forward to it. And then I'll be
That's
back at Cafe Vivace January the 8th. At this
okay.
point, I don't know that I have anything for December because I'm trying to tell myself to just take it easy in
And
December.
relax. Yeah.
But
Well,
January,
I tell you what, I'm planning a winter jazz series. I had a summer jazz series, and I'm
Mhm.
planning a winter jazz series.
Okay.
So I'm going to put you on my list. We'll talk.
Thank you. That
We'll
was
talk about you
great. Love it.
bringing your trio to Dayton.
Oh, sure. That would be great. And I haven't been up. I used to do Women in Jazz Festival every summer.
Yeah, yeah, they stopped doing that.
I know. I know.
Like I don't
I
even
know.
know what the
I
deal is.
know.
But
I worked
yeah.
with Khalid Moss for a number of years.
Mm, okay,
Um,
and I know you've worked with Kago
oh my
Hirakawa.
God. I was
Yeah,
just, when I got your text, I said, "Oh God, Kago." He was on my Just Friends Friday series.
yeah, he's amazing.
So
Yeah,
he is.
I get
He's
to play with him
abs-
once a month.
That's how
So,
I met him. Someone recommended him. Recommended that I call him.
hmm,
You know, the Just Friends series really, I got to meet personally artists that I keep hearing about, but have not
hmm.
had the opportunity to work with. So
Yeah, that's a
that,
fantastic idea, though. I'm going to
yeah,
put that. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to use it. So I just want you to know.
oh yeah, no, no, no. It
Oh,
because it doesn't. I wanted to for me it's wood shedding. You know,
yeah, yeah.
I call
Hmm,
them paint rehearsals, but uh,
hmm. Yeah,
it keeps your chops fresh and it keeps your
right.
perspective of where you want to go with what it is you're doing.
Yeah, yeah. You know
Um,
what? I would love for you to, if you just feel like it, on one first Thursday, to come to Dayton. And I host a first Thursday jazz jam.
oh,
And I have Kago on the piano and Eddie Brookshire on the bass and Jeff Malott on the
oh yeah,
drums.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a great rhythm section. Get a lot of good players come
Hmm.
in. I'd love to
Hmm.
have you come and do a couple tunes. If you
Okay, now
just,
where
yeah, it's
and
the first Thursday of every month.
you're gonna send me where that is and all
I
that.
certainly will. At Holy Grounds, 825 Wayne Avenue. But I'll
Okay,
send you the information because I'd
perfect.
love to have you come up.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Ooh,
All
this is
right. I don't want to take too
yeah.
much of your time because I
No,
know
you're
you said you had
fine.
a 4 o'clock. Um,
Thank you.
and I want to thank you so much for taking
Thank
this time
you.
out. Oh my
This is
gosh.
it's been nice meeting you.
Yes, it's been such a treat. I'm
Absolutely.
so grateful. And I've now broken my, whatever you want to call it,
I
for
love
the
this.
first.
I'm literally going to do this
Yeah,
because
you should for
this is
sure.
just so this is YouTube?
It is, yes, it
Okay.
is a third party software, I guess,
Right.
streaming to YouTube. So
Love it.
yeah, 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 it's great.
Love it. Send me that name too.
Okay, I will. I'll do
Would
that.
love to
All
have it.
righty.
Thank you. This
Certainly.
has been
All right.
wonderful. Thank you
Yes.
so much. I will
Thanks
let you
again.
know. Send me the information about the first Thursdays, and I would definitely make
Okay.
a run to Dayton. I've got lots of friends there. I've worked with the Links chapter in Dayton, Ohio, on my Books Alive for Kids program. So let me
Okay.
know. We'll round up some folks and have them come out.
Oh, great. That would be great. Okay. Well,
Absolutely.
for everyone who is listening, please subscribe to the Jazz Voices channel because we're going to have more interviews coming up. And Kathy, thanks again.
Thank you.
Until next time,
All
I'll see you
right.
later for more
Thank
Jazz
you.
Voices. All righty. Take care.
Uh huh. Bye bye.
Bye bye.